Hi there, John Racine here, and thank you for watching this video. I wanted to kind of rant a little bit today and ask, what in the heck has happened to customer service lately? And I don't know if this is just isolated inside of America or if it's worldwide. I suspect it is. But man, has customer service gone to a level that I've never experienced before. So let me tell you a little bit about my background before I get into the story of what's happened. So I started as a busboy at the age of 13 at one of the most popular restaurants where I grew up in Rhode Island. On a Friday and Saturday night, I'd walk out of there with a ton of tip money, and I learned a lot about customer service. That carried through my career. I went to college, I learned the hospitality business, learned how things are supposed to operate. I went to work for the world's largest theme park company after that, a very, very, very big name worldwide, known everywhere. If I told you the name, you'd instantly recognize it. And I've gone on in my career through operations as a restaurant manager. I worked in retail, eventually getting into human resources and recruiting and training and hiring and all of those things. And the training piece, customer service, followed me throughout that part of my career for many, many years. So I have taught customer service all over the country, actually all over the world, because I've been in Dubai and spoken about that. I've been in Bahrain and spoken about that. So all over the world. And there's some core principles that I teach, you know, how to solve customer problems, how to provide great customer service, and things like that. So that's kind of my background. And because of my background, I'm normally a little lenient because I've worked in one of the toughest industries. I've worked in hospitality, where on a busy Friday or Saturday night in a restaurant, the time just flies like that because it's just so busy. So I will actually tolerate a lot from a customer service perspective. But in the last 6 months, I've never experienced such poor customer service as I've experienced with a few different companies. And there's been some wins in my last 6 months, some really good things. So I want to talk a little bit about the bad I've experienced and then a little bit about the good. So what in the heck has happened to customer service? So about 6 months ago, I had a big thing happen in my life. I was moving from Southern California to Florida, something that I had wanted to happen for quite a while. I hired a moving company. It was a disaster almost from the get-go, had all kinds of problems with them. They showed up late to pack my house. They took 13 hours. I got delayed in my trans-country move, messed up a vacation that I had planned in there because of the 13 hours. And what ultimately happened, the big deal was, I told them when I was moving from California to Florida that I didn't have a place to live yet because I was only in Florida for a couple of days and I didn't find a place to live. So I was trying to do everything remotely. So they told me, hey, no problem. We have an office in the area where you're going. If there's a warehouse and we can store everything there. Once you move and you find a place to live, you let us know. We'll bring everything to your house. Perfect, no problem. So I get into Florida, spend a couple days finding a place to live, which I did, call up the moving company. Okay, so when is it going to get here? Well, it hasn't left California yet. Well, what do you mean it hasn't left California yet? Well, you didn't give us an address until right now. Yeah, but when I signed the contract and we agreed to everything, you were going to ship it to Florida, put it in your warehouse in Florida, and then get it to me once I got you the address. Oh, no, it's still in California. Okay. There was a lot of go-arounds with this. It was really a challenge. I definitely made the wrong decision with this particular moving company, but their salesman was the guy that sold it for me. He had great customer service for the most part. So we finally get everything worked out. We know when everything's going to get here, and there was another snag. So I called my salesman, like, hey, what's going on with this? Basically, there was a delay from my expected delivery date again. So he says, let me get the manager on. We'll do a conference call. I'm like, all right, no problem. Gets the manager on the conference call, and I had gone round and round with the manager another time because there was a challenge with the payment on this particular move. They doubled the price on me and claimed that, you know, they didn't know there was that much stuff to move. So the manager that my salesperson called was the guy who came to my home and inventoried everything. Everything was there. I had no more storage unit. Everything was in the garage or in the townhome that I rented. So I don't know how it's possible for them to claim that there was more items added. Everything was there. As a matter of fact, we had thrown things away. So I can be difficult when I'm passionate and I know I'm right, or at least I believe I'm right. And that's how I got with this manager. So this manager and I were like oil and vinegar. We did not get along. So the salesman calls the manager. The manager gets on and is like, I don't appreciate you calling me while I'm at lunch. I'm like, well, wait a minute, buddy. I didn't call you. Your sales guy did. I don't appreciate being called at lunch. Call me back later, and he hung up on me. All right, so we finally got that worked out. It was an 8-week hellish ordeal, and I just sucked that up to me making a poor choice, and I put it on my own time frame and kind of went last minute with them, and it was my own fault. I fully accept responsibility on that one. But the customer service piece I was receiving from them, not so much. So the next thing that happened was this morning, I called a large warehouse company. You know the names if I told you. And I called them, they have gas there. And I was down near one of them, so I called them to find out because I had two choices. One of the other warehouse companies has an app on my iPhone. I click on the app, price is right up there in the upper right-hand corner. So I wanted to compare. I'm a comparison shopper, right? I think a lot of people probably are. So I call up that warehouse club, and I get to their administrative office. That's what it said on their recordings, because you can't talk to an operator until you press 17 buttons to get somewhere. And I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm wondering if you could tell me what your gas prices are. No, we don't give that information over the phone. I'm like, oh, well, the other place does. Well, we're not the other place. So I got a little indignant with her, and I'm like, well, thanks for being so polite, you witch. And I hung up on her. So I'm like, you know what? It was wrong of me to go after her that way. But I did not expect that type of response. I would have expected something more like, I'm so sorry, I know they may do that, we don't. Even if she didn't give me a reason, just an apology. Instead, she abdicated her responsibility with that information. Let's talk about a software company. So it's one of those software companies that you use their software on or before April 15th of every year. So obviously I'm talking about tax software. So I needed to get a copy of my tax file, my tax return from 2015 to get to my attorneys. So I had the data file from this particular software company. I needed to convert that to a PDF, which the software allows you to do, right? You do file save as, exports it as a PDF, and I had no problem. But I switched from a PC to a Mac. That software is not compatible on the Mac. I have the data file, not the PDF. So I called them and said, hey, look, I have this 2015 tax file. I didn't save it as a PDF. Can I download the software and export to an Adobe PDF so that I can do that? So you want to take your 2015 and import it into 2016? No, what I said was I have the 2015 data file. I want to export it from the software as a PDF. Can I do that in the 2015 version? So you want to port your info over? I'm like, no, you're not listening to me. Well, sir, you don't have to get angry with me. I'm trying to help you, but you're not listening. That's not my problem. What? What did you just say? It's not your problem? You're on the other end of the phone listening to me. Yes, I'm getting very passionate about this because I think it's such an epidemic of the poor customer service that we tolerate and accept, and that businesses, quite frankly, allow to happen. I was furious with her. I'm like, you are not listening to me. So we finally get to the point where I can get the software, and I'm like, okay, now, do I have to, because it gives me the download link. I go to the download link, and it wants me to pay $90 for the software. I'm like, do I have to pay for the software again? Well, yeah, you can't get it for free and use it. Okay, at the beginning of the call, I said I have the data file. This is a proprietary data file that's exclusive to your software. How on earth am I going to get the data file if at some point I didn't use a registered legal copy of the software? Isn't that common sense? And I have to remind myself, because I tend to remind people a lot of times that common sense isn't that common. I had to go back and say, ma'am, I paid for it in 2016. Well, why did you pay for it in 2016? And I was about to lose it, and I had to realize that I have more information about my situation than she does. I'm like, ma'am, I don't file my 2015 taxes in 2015. I file them by April 15th of 2016. So I would have bought that software in 2016 to do that. Finally, after all this rigmarole, she finally got what I was saying. Let me give you example number 4. Happened today. I had to go to the post office. I needed to purchase a money order. Then I needed to ship that money order in one of their express shipping envelopes, and I had another package that needed to be shipped. So I went up to the counter, I had all my envelopes filled out, I had the package all ready to go, and I told her I need to buy a money order. I'm going to pay cash for the money order, and then I need to put the money order in this envelope and ship these 2 items. And I'm going to do that on a credit card. I don't understand. I need to buy a money order. Here's the cash. I had all the cash. I'm going to pay cash because I can't buy money order on a credit card, right? Well, you can do it on a debit card. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that. I could have done it on a debit card, but I can't do that now because I took that money out of my bank account to get the money order. So I need to buy the money order. I need to put it in this envelope that's all pre-labeled, prepaid. Then I need to ship this envelope, not prepaid, I'm sorry, pre-labeled. I need to ship this envelope with the money order in it. And then I have this other package that's already labeled, ready to go, that I also need to ship. I'm just going to ring these up separately because I don't understand. Okay, so she rings up the money order. Come to find out, I had filled out the wrong form for the express shipping of the money order that I was sending. So I had to go and fill that out, refill that out. Frustrating, but I made that mistake, no problem. I'm okay there. So I went and I had bought a bubble pack. I was shipping a book to a friend of mine in California, and I bought one of those bubble pack envelopes. I put the book in there, I addressed it, and I guess I used a pen that I shouldn't have used, and it can smudge a little bit on the envelope. So she yelled at me, well, why did you use that pen on this envelope? I assumed maybe I could use a pen on here, and I know what you say about assume, right? Makes a butt out of you and me. I get it, right? But I didn't think about it. So she kind of yelled at me for doing that. So I've got what I consider a fairly easy transaction, and then it was complicated by her. So what's happened to the customer service? What, do you realize that I'm the one with the cash? I'm the one with the credit card or the debit card. If it weren't for people like me, you may not be here. All right, so it's not all doom and gloom with all of my customer service experiences. I have had an overwhelming number of negative ones, and there's been a couple of good positive ones. So let's talk about the positive ones. First, very recently I went to a chain restaurant called Grand Deluxe Cafe. I want to call out the good here, and I believe they're owned by Cheesecake Factory. And I left a personal item in the restaurant. I didn't realize it until well after I had departed the restaurant. So this was on a Saturday. Monday morning, I get a call in my office. I get a voicemail. Hey, Mr. Racine, we have your item here at the restaurant. Wanted to make sure you knew. Please give us a call. So I called the manager over there. Yes, thank you. She was wonderful. Told me how I could go get the item back. And really good job. Okay. Now, the second one is a company called Ring. You may be familiar with Ring. They have those video doorbells. So it'll detect motion and record it. Someone presses your doorbell, you can talk to them and all of that. Really, really cool. So I recently got that right before Christmas, and I had a problem with it. It wasn't recording, it wasn't working. So when I got into my home, I started rechecking everything, couldn't get the thing to work. So I contacted Ring. I explained to the guy on the phone what was happening. He's like, I'm so sorry you're having that problem. We'll get you squared away. And we went through some diagnostic things, figured out that it's probably the batteries. They're shipping me a new battery. I'm so sorry this happened to you, Mr. Racine, but we'll get this squared away. I'm going to send you an email so I can follow up with you. Please contact me directly if you have any problems, okay? Now, I have taught customer service for a very long time, and I've taught problem resolution, right, and customer service in general. And in both of these instances with the goods, so Grand Deluxe Cafe and the Ring, okay, I don't know that they went above and beyond. I think because we are accepting mediocre or the bare minimums to satisfy us now instead of being wowed and going above and beyond. And this is not to dismiss what I think was the right things to do in both of those places. Grand Deluxe was phenomenal, and Ring was just as phenomenal. But it was an expected performance from them, at least in my mind, from a customer service perspective. I'm always teaching to do a +1 or a +2. What do I mean by a +1 or a +2? What I'm talking about is solve the problem and then do something a little bit extra. You don't have to. You're under no obligation. But how do you create a raving fan? How do you create someone that's going to become your advocate, your preacher, your put it on social media to share with their friends and followers and all of that? So we have to think a little bit differently now because of social media, because of how easy it is to communicate. Back not that long ago, the only thing you could do is maybe write a letter, send it up to the company. You might get a response, you might not get a response. and very little would happen unless you had the dollars to make something happen, to take out a full page ad in the local newspaper, to get a television spot on TV. So we all have the ability now to communicate to millions and millions of people around the world. And it has changed the dynamic of customer service forever now. So I think we've come to accept just the barest of minimums in customer service. So my challenge for you watching this video, and I thank you for hanging out this far to hear me rant about this. I am so passionate about it because I think we've forgotten that all businesses involve customer service. I cannot think of a single business that doesn't involve customer service, because a business won't do business with themselves and make money, right? So the money's got to come from somewhere, and it's going to involve customer service. Even if you're an e-commerce company, if you're selling on Shopify, if you're doing fulfillment by Amazon, you are still involved in the customer service business, and I think we've forgotten that. So I want to talk just for a couple minutes about what does good customer service look like, and how can you improve it in your business so that you don't go from feast to famine, or that you go and really struggle to build your business, because marketing and growing your business is as much, if not more, about customer service than it is about your product, service, or your offering. Okay, so what are some of the basics? Number one, I think it's important to listen. Okay, a couple of the examples that I gave you from my experience, I wasn't being listened to. I wasn't being heard. I remember when I was a restaurant manager, I used to teach my servers when I bring them on board, I'm like, look, you're going to get people that want to complain because you are almost essentially forced to listen to them. It's okay. Some people just want to complain because it's a way for them to talk to somebody, to communicate, and that's okay. So some people just want to complain. So if you have to sit there and listen to this customer complain, I'm so sorry that's happened to you, a lot of times that apology is enough for people. You don't have to go a +1 or a +2 that I kind of talk about, right? But listen to people and really listen. I know it's tempting. You've got apps on your phone that are going off. You've got your phone that's ringing. You've got that email you have to respond to. You've got another customer that's right there in front of you. There's a lot of things competing for your attention. But a customer who's complaining to you, or a customer who's trying to engage you, is there for a reason, is communicating for a reason, and you never ever know who that customer is. It could be a next 5, 6, or 7-figure contract for your business. It could be someone who brings in hundreds of people into your establishment. You don't know who that person is, and it shouldn't matter. Let's be fair, it shouldn't matter, because everybody should be treated with respect. But really listen to your customers. I was so frustrated with the software company today, and I explained it multiple times, and I told her she wasn't listening, and she blew up, and not my fault, not my problem. It's like, very, very frustrating. The next principle that I want to put forth, and this one comes from my hospitality background. I worked at a hotel, and the hotel had a spa, restaurant, lounge, pools, front desk, banquet service, very big operation. And I used to say to my employees, look, if you work in the spa and a guest comes in and had a challenge when they checked in, maybe the room wasn't ready, or it was dirty when they checked in, or they went to the restaurant and the steak was overcooked, you as the spa employee, did you cause that problem? And 99% of the time I would get a no. And while they're physically and conceptually correct, I didn't cook that steak, I didn't check you in, I didn't clean that room, they were all wearing the same logoed name tag. So yeah, you did cause that problem because you are a part of the organization, and you have to accept responsibility for it, even if it had nothing to do with you. The last thing we would want to hear at that point in time is, oh, I can't help you with that, you got to talk to the front desk, or you got to talk to the restaurant, or you got to talk to the bar manager. No, you're empowered. You have to accept the responsibility for that problem, whether you caused it or not, because you represent the company. And I think that's kind of what's missing in a lot of operations, right? So that one's just absolutely critical. A third thing, especially in person, but even more so over the phone, eye contact and smile. Yes, you cannot make eye contact on the phone, but I guarantee you have called somebody somewhere a credit card company, tech support for some piece of technology. You have called somewhere and you can tell over the phone that that person doesn't want to be there, they're not listening, whatever the case may be. Smile. You can hear it over the phone. When I worked in retail, there was a collections component that was involved in it, and I used to force my staff to put a mirror on their desk when they were doing their collection calls and look in that mirror, because you can reflect that smile back and you can hear it over the phone. It's absolutely critical. The last component that I want to cover today, because we've got a lot going on in this video, is the concept of empathy. And I think empathy is the piece that is missing so many times in poor customer service. And it can be on a positive or a negative. The empathy doesn't have to just be there on the negatives. What are we talking about? Well, sympathy and empathy often get confused. Sympathy is when you're sorry something happened to you. I'm sorry you got a flat tire. I'm sorry we don't have your size. I'm sorry that the plane is delayed. Okay? You're sorry, okay? It happens, right? Well, what's empathy? Empathy is a step further. Empathy is putting yourselves in the shoes of that customer. And I don't think we do it enough globally, okay? How would you feel if what's happening to this guest, this customer, this patron, this person, how would you feel if the shoes were reversed? And I think if we focused a little bit more on that, we would resolve things better. We would empower employees and staff and support and all of that to handle the problems so that they can become advocates for you, the business owner, whoever it might be. I've seen many a business where the owner is a control freak, quite frankly, and they want everything to go through them. And I challenge those people with those concepts, because your business is only going to get to a certain point. I've seen it time and time again with the businesses that I work with, where you reach this threshold and it stops because you're actively involved in everything. You've got to hire the best. I do know how to do that. I've been in human resources a majority portion of my career, whether I'm running my own business or having been involved with other companies. You've got to hire the right people. And if you can't trust those people in your business, then why would you hire them? Something that I call 98.6 degree hiring. You're hiring a warm body because you don't want to do that job yourself, but yet you still want to maintain control of everything that's happening. So hire the right people. Ask questions of them during the interview process to determine how they've acted in the past in a circumstance that's common to your industry. Tell me about a time you had a difficult customer. Give me the details. Tell me what happened and how you handled it. You can kind of get a feel for that. But if you can't hire somebody that you trust, don't hire them at all. So I appreciate you listening this far into the video. I was really worked up about this one because I think the customer service has slipped to a level I've never experienced before, and it can stop. It just takes us stop accepting this sub level of performance and really focus on what counts, because you can do everything in your business to market and grow. You can put billboards up, you can do telemarketing, you can do direct mail, you can do Facebook pay-per-click advertising or Google advertising. There's so many ways to grow your business, but if you're not delivering on the customer experience, you're going to have a very hard time growing from that level, because it's just not going to be sustainable. So focus on customer service. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked this video, please click like on the video, subscribe to my channel. I've got a lot of information coming on customer service, on growing small businesses and large businesses to get to the next level. And I'd love to be able to provide feedback and support, so you can even comment to the video below. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video.